Our pregame show, fellas. My name is Rob Dauster. We are live at the Rivers Casino in Philadelphia in the sportsbook in their studio. You can see behind us, people are going in there placing their bets. It's a holiday, fellas. Happy holidays.
Best holiday of the year, Rob.
Yeah. Rob Dauster here. I got Terrence Oglesby. I got Randolph Childress with me. We are getting ready for these games that we're about to watch. I got to tell you guys, this is the day I look forward to all season long, right? We build it all up, and we go out, and we talk about this every single night, and it's for today, RC. This is the moment. When was the last time that you got to experience this as someone that was not coaching and not in the mix?
This is the first time. First time in my, since I first started playing basketball for me. So it's been the first time since 19. I'm not even going to say the year. It doesn't matter at that point. It's a long time ago.
It's a lot longer than you think when you look at it.
It was a century ago.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah, a century ago.
No, it's my second one, but the first time covering it, obviously, with you guys. But this is going to be great. I'm so excited. You guys already got your bets in. I personally didn't do many bets, but big-time move. Carter Elliott's here.
I bet for the team. Don't worry about it. I bet for the team.
You got us covered tonight for dinner?
I got it. These are guaranteed winners right here. I'm telling you that right now.
Every sheet on there is
every dollar that I win, no, I didn't bet on them. Every dollar that I win, we're taking over to the craps table, and we're turning it into millions, fellas.
There you go.
We're taking this casino for everything that they're worth.
Just save us some money for dinner, though. We got to get a nice steak, some wine, or some beers or something.
Something good. We'll get that covered. All right, so let's talk about the games. I think last night Rutgers and Notre Dame was a thriller. First four, double overtime. We had some late buckets. We had something that amounted to basically a game winner. Paul Atkinson had to tip in with about a second and a half left to win the game. In double OT, we had a bank from Ron Harper Jr. We had a 30-footer from Ron Harper Jr. I think that got us set for the madness. We're starting things off 12:15, exactly 1 hour and 13 minutes from this very moment. Michigan and Colorado State are going to be kicking things off for us. The line right now, according to our friends at Bet River Sportsbook in the Philadelphia Casino, is Michigan -2. T.O., how do you feel about the Wolverines? They're not going to have Devontae Jones. How big of a loss is that?
Well, it's a huge loss, first and foremost, but it worries me more than anything, a Michigan team with 14 losses, right? 14 losses for this Michigan team. They're playing against a Colorado State team that has dudes. A lot of people don't realize David Roddy is one of the best players in the country, but we're sitting here looking forward. We're looking forward to this game because you got to find out how Colorado State guards Hunter Dickinson, and Michigan's got to find out a way to use Hunter Dickinson not only on offense but on the defensive end too, because they have guys who can shoot it from all over the floor. Nico Medved does a terrific job with the Rams. This Michigan team, I wasn't sure they quite deserved to be in this field, but at the same time, they're here now. Hunter Dickinson's going to be a huge point and a huge part of this process. But Devontae Jones, I mean, that's a big loss because there's not a whole lot behind him.
He's going to have to play a lot. Hunter's going to have to impose his will on this game. Because the biggest part, like you said, I'm concerned about him defensively. Mm-hmm. They're going to put him in ball screens and put him in, any type of defensive stress all year long and put Michigan in rotation. So if they're making shots, they're going to be a tough out.
Yeah, if you're Nico Medved, right, and I think it's probably safe to say your best lineup is when you have David Roddy playing the 5. I think that makes him the most difficult to guard. David Roddy's like 6'4", 6'5". He's basically the size of Carter Elliott, right? So how do you slow down?
He's got a few
Hunter
pounds
Dickinson?
on Carter.
Yeah, he might. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Carter's been working out, man. He's been working out, man. Leave my guy alone. He's been working it out. Murray Light's been treating him good.
So how would you go about defending him? What do you, RC? If you're Nico Medved, what is your game plan going in? How do you slow him down?
He's going to do one of two things. Either he's going to let Hunter Dickinson play inside and try to limit everyone else. And Hunter Dickinson is a really good passer. So if you start doubling him, then you're going to involve everyone else. So they're either going to front the post, I think, or just play behind and just wall up and let him go. I don't think they can do much else.
Now, if it were me, I'm not going to sit here and talk about what Nico Medved does because he's going to figure all that stuff out anyway. But I would mix up some defenses and mix up some coverages on how you're going to get the ball into Hunter Dickinson to begin with. Because if you front him, you got to have backside help because he's huge. But the thing is you're just going to have to swarm to the basketball from the backside and then load up on that side. Now, he has handled some double teams, sure, but that hasn't been a strong point of his. So make him swing that ball to the opposite 45. Make him put that ball on the dime to the opposite corner. Make those long rotation shots, make those difficult for him to do. Hands up, discourage those passes, and I think you'll be okay. I just don't think this Michigan team, from a consistency standpoint, has shot it well enough all season long in order to really space the floor adequately for Hunter Dickinson. That worries me. Push him out. The thing that worries me, I'm telling you guys, is defensively. if I'm Michigan. That worries me to death because of
Why?
how Roddy is able to manipulate. He's a great passer. He can score on his own. He's so big and strong that he's going to give Hunter Dickinson some problems because of his combination of size and quickness, and not from a height perspective. It's because of how wide he is. He's built like a defensive end. It's going to be interesting to see how they guard him because Hunter Dickinson, he's going to need some help today. I think Moussa Diabate might be a better matchup, but the problem is Roddy's got it by 40 pounds.
Yeah.
So he is a matchup nightmare no matter who he goes against for Michigan.
The only thing I can say about Hunter is that they don't have the size to bother him with their double teams. He'll be able to look over top and find guys offensive, but they got to control the pace.
Yeah.
That's going to be the other thing. Michigan has to control the pace of this game, I think, or if it gets up and down with their smaller lineup, I think Colorado State is too much.
So let me ask you guys this: Michigan doesn't have their starting point guard. Point guard play has been an issue for them all season long, and hit the buzzer, T.O. That's the one thing we've been talking about all season long. Is
I forgot the buzzer. Out of all the things we need, I forgot the buzzer.
So how do they deal with that, right? Like we already have question marks about how good their point guard play is. When they made this run late in the year, it's because Devontae Jones kind of figured things out. So what's the answer? What's the solution? Is there one?
I'm not really sure there is one. I guess hope and pray. I mean, that's the biggest part. But you can have it done by committee. Have different guys bring the ball up the floor, initiate offense, or to be honest with you guys, get it across half court and give it to Hunter Dickinson as quick as you can, and then facilitate offense through your 5-man, which could either be done at the elbow, which he's shown the ability to do in some aspects, or give it to him down on the block and have some movement. But it's going to be difficult. That's a big part of what Michigan's going to struggle with today, because help me out, and I'm going to sound like an idiot right now. The point guard for Colorado State, who's an absolute stud, complete brain
Isaiah
fart. Stevens. I mean, you want to talk about a mismatch of epic proportions. You have your main guy out, and Isaiah Stevens is the guy you have to match up with. That's going to be an issue.
Yep. RC, what would you deal with, or what would you do if you're Juwan Howard? How are you dealing with your star point guard not being there?
I'm identifying a matchup that I know can bring it up as a press release. And again, I'd get the ball to Hunter Dickinson at the elbow or top of the key and then let initiate offense. He can do the same thing, dribble handoffs, because he's going to put Colorado State in position of how are you going to guard the dribble handoffs? Are you going to go under? Are you going to switch? You're not going to switch with Hunter Dickinson. So you get he's your press release. I think you got to use him in multiple ways and then get bigger guys off of him and just see early on how they're going to guard Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah. Just a reminder for everyone, if you are watching this show right now, jump into the description below. Go to the link. Go into the Bracket Fanatics NCAA tournament group. Fill one out, and you will be eligible to get one of the 5 $50 Topgolf gift cards that we're giving away. And on one of these streams that you are watching, we are going to give away 2 tickets to Sweets, all you can drink, all you can eat, for the Sweet 16 at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. That's not bad. All you can drink, all you can eat is always a positive in my mind. We are giving those away to people that enter into our bracket pool. It's bracketfanatics.com. The code when you get there is FIELD. All right, gentlemen, let's get to the second game of the day. South Dakota State and Providence, the 4 seed in the Midwest, taking on the 13 seed. South Dakota State, the best three-point shooting team in college basketball. Providence, the luckiest team in college basketball. You know what today is? It's St. Paddy's Day. It's St. Pat. How could you bet against Providence on St. Paddy's Day? The line right now, according to our friends at Bet Rivers, is Providence -2. To me, guys, I think this is my favorite bet of the day. I don't see any way that Providence loses this game, and here's why. And tell me if you think I'm crazy. Justin Minaya, one of the best defenders in college basketball. South Dakota State runs everything through Baylor Shireman. Baylor Shireman is a 6'6" wing. Justin Minaya is going to eat his lunch the way that T.O. ate a Philly cheesesteak last night.
Dominated.
Yes,
dominated.
He did. I witnessed it. It was impressive.
Barely breathing. I think this is the trendy pick right now because South Dakota State shoots 44% from three, something like that. Like, here's the thing about it. They play zero defense. South Dakota State defensively is 23rd in the country according to KenPom. Shout out to KenPom with all their metrics. It's like it's one of those things. South Dakota State, they haven't played a defense like Providence all season long. And this Providence team is connected. Now, if you're going to score 60, you can't give up, or you're going to score 80, you can't give up 90. And Nate Watson has a golden opportunity today to go for 30 and 20 because this South Dakota State team, while they're very good offensively, they're going to try to push the pace. pace is going to be key, like you mentioned. Nate Watson, if he's able to score in the post, and he's going to be able to,
There's no doubt about that.
Whether he has a left hand or not, and he has no left hand, he is still going to be able to score as many as he pleases in there. I think Providence's athleticism is going to be able to get out and contest these threes at a level that South Dakota State hasn't seen in a long time. This Providence team, I'm not sure how far they go, Randolph, but I think it's a team that, because of the matchup today, because of Justin Minaya on Shireman, I think they're going to end up having the advantage, and it's fade the public, if you will. I want to say almost 70% of people have bet towards South Dakota State because of that 3-point factor.
You said almost 70. It's a very nice 69% of the public is on South.
Oh, I didn't know 69%.
Right on. My guy's spot on.
You know what else? You know what the Bet Rivers right now? You know what the most bet team is? New Mexico State. 86% of the public has bet on New Mexico State.
That's just such a trendy pick. Like, New Mexico State is always picked to upset somebody in the first round. A couple years ago, it was Clemson. Clemson beats the brakes off of them. I was on staff. No big deal, RC. But here's what New Mexico State does.
Was that the last time Clemson made a tournament?
Absolutely, it was. But with the details. Now, they made it last year. Lost to Rutgers. Not a big deal. We're going to move on. But New Mexico State, what do? They board. Yeah. They rebound. What does UConn do? They board. They rebound. UConn's just bigger. They're better. UConn's going to win that game. I understand it's a sexy pick. New Mexico State, yada, yada, yada. UConn's going to win that game.
I agree.
Yeah, let's keep it at Providence and South Dakota State real quick.
I went off track there.
Yeah, we went off. This is never going to stay on the rails. We just know what it is. This ticket right here. This ticket right here is for Providence. Right here, guys.
There you go.
I bet it because Greg Waddell, Sleepers Media, told me to bet it. So, RC, how do you see that matchup playing out?
I think we poked the bear. I think like you said, 70% picked that game. I think everybody, and that's one thing Providence has lived on all year long, was you poking the bear, not expecting them to win, calling them the luckiest team. They feed off that, and I don't think it'll be as close. I think they'll cover the spread easily.
My favorite thing was going to the Garden last week, T.O., and seeing all of these Providence fans showing up in like green shirts with green hats, and having the big clovers on their chests.
They had a leprechaun on a stick. It was quality work by the student section. Quality work.
What was the leprechaun on the stick doing?
I mean, enjoying the game, I guess.
All right, let's move on. The third game of the day, we got Memphis, we got Boise State. I think this is the game I'm most interested in watching. I think it's going to be ugly, RC. I think it's going to be hideous. I think we're talking about a game that is going to go well under the total of 133.5. But we're talking about two teams that are tough, that are physical. Here's why I like Boise State in this matchup. They have the athletes. They have a bunch of high major athletes on that roster, right? And the thing about Memphis is they can kind of overwhelm you with their length and athleticism and toughness and physicality and all of that. Exactly what they did last year when they ran to the NIT title, right? So I think Boise matches up with them really, really well. And Memphis, hit the buzzer, T.O.
Point guard play.
No point guard play.
Sorry.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm going to disagree with you. I usually don't, but I'm going to do it. I think Memphis, they don't have the backups for the athleticism. That's where Memphis overwhelms you. They're one of the better defensive teams in the country, and I think they're going to come out today and be ready to play. I do think I like Boise State, but I think this is a tough matchup for them coming out. There's a few teams that I could see winning a few games or a game or two in the tournament, but they got a tough draw, and Boise State was one of those teams.
Yep.
Guys, I like Memphis, and I'm about to switch that pick depending on if Imani Bates plays. And if he does play, I'm going Boise. If he doesn't play, I'm going Memphis.
That's two of us.
Yeah, so I think it has more to do with the defensive end more than anything. This Boise State team's a top 20 defensive team in the country, and that's something to look at against a team that has struggled to score guys. But I think when you're going defense against defense, which team is going to be able to overwhelm the other? Jalen Duren is a beast. He's been playing so much better as of late. I like Memphis moving forward in that game. Boise State's a good team. They've had a quality year in the Mountain West Conference, but I'm going with Memphis on this case. They've just been playing so much better as of late. They're right beside each other in the metrics. Yeah. But I'd be curious to see, besides the Torvik, I'm talking just to Kim Palm, besides Torvik, like what would Memphis's metrics be post Imani Bates? And I don't know how to look that up because I'm not that smart. Via Torvik or Kim Palm?
Do you want me to pull out my Torvik?
Pull out your Torvik. Pull it out.
Pull out your Torvik and let you know. Okay.
Yank out that Torvik. Let's get ready.
Last game Imani Bates was on January 27th. Right? From January 28th on, according to Torvik, which is kind of like KenPom, a little bit different, kind of like KenPom. They are a top 5 team in America.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Top 5 offense, top 5 defense. They're connected. They're playing well. Now, some of that is they're just beating the shit out of teams in the American.
Yeah. No.
So that it's the same thing as what happened. We're talking about Gonzaga all season long. But, I mean, I don't know. Have either of you guys ever played in a situation where you had someone where you
It was addition by subtraction.
Addition by subtraction.
How does that – I mean, you guys have been in locker rooms
I'll
in
let you
college,
take that.
all over the country, coaching, playing. Like, why does that happen?
Because everyone knows the ball is moving, right? It spreads. Well, before, when you got a guy like that, and with the expectation that was on Imani Bates, he was supposed to be in that category with Chet Holmgren and Jabari Smith and Paulo Banchero. He was supposed to be in that group. And so there's a lot of pressure and expectations on him. So he's feel the pressure of trying to be that guy. And when you feel that with all the talent that's there, Lomax wants to get things going. We talked about, Duran. So there's so many guys there, Williams. There's so many guys that they have. It's just one less guy, the ball moves, and now everyone is getting an extra touch, an extra shot. And it's just more buy-in. There's a lot of pressure on those guys when they come in to play great. And when they don't, things can go south quickly as it did in Memphis. And I'm wishing the kid the best. We called it the skeleton in the room, not the elephant in the room with him. And it's just a tough matchup for Boise State. Memphis is just a little – they're similar teams in style. Memphis is just a little better.
Here's my thing. It happens all the time, and it's usually with a guy that's pretty ball dominant. And Imani Bates, I would qualify as such because he just – I mean, he's going to take some bad ones, right? But I think the more –
Is he?
Yeah.
That's the rumor.
Yeah, that's the rumor. He's going to take some bad ones. But if you look at another team this past season, Arkansas takes a transfer by the name of Chris Likes at Miami. He leaves. It puts the ball in other guys' hands. That ball starts popping. All of a sudden, Miami's good, and they make the tournament, right? Addition by subtraction happens a lot. It's either a locker room issue or it's a ball-dominant issue. This is a unique one because I'm not sure it was his offense. It was more so his defense. He didn't know where to be, guys. Like, that was the biggest issue with them. Penny's calling card his entire college coaching career at Memphis has been defense. Imani Bates just struggled to pick up concepts. Now you have 5 guys on the floor for Memphis that defensively can swarm you. They're big. They're physical. They can do a lot of different things defensively to really overwhelm teams. I think that's what you're going to see today. But if Imani Bates plays, and I doubt he plays, they're rolling too well. Yeah. Surely we see a correlation here. There's not going to be a mistake that way. But he needs a summer and another year badly in order to get as much as he can.
You said this, T.O., way back when back in that first press conference that Penny had when he came out and he was like, our young guys aren't getting along with our older guys. We have infighting. You remember that? What you said, it stuck with me, where you said, if I was an upperclassman, I would be pissed because you got the 17-year-old freshman coming in and acting like it's Peach Jam, getting up all these shots. I won you an NIT. Why am I not the guy? Why am I not out here being the face of this program? You're going to have a 17-year-old coming in, doesn't know what he's doing defensively, doesn't know how to move the ball, selfish, all these other things. That stood out to me. And I think what happened was when you took that presence out of the lineup, right, all of a sudden everyone is on the same page again. And I think that more than anything else, like we talk about it with Villanova, we talk about it with Baylor, we talk about it with Gonzaga. When everybody is connected and together and there's a culture and there's like that family aspect, right? I think that's when college basketball teams are at their best. In the pros, it's a little bit different because everyone's kind of going in different directions. But at the college level, right, RC, everyone's got to be bought in and fighting for the same thing. Like, that matters so much more than anywhere else in sports.
I'll flip it this way to both of you guys. What happens if Imani comes back and there's buy-in? Because think about it now. This team was rolling and it took off. They were in the tournament since you've left. So what happened now if he buys in and is like, look, the only way you're going to play in is if you're guard and you do these things, you move the ball and you guard. Now, if that talent buys into that, all bets are off. That changes everything. Because the only reason you let him back in right now, right, is because of that. You don't need it. Yeah. Like, if he's not bought in and you don't believe that, let's not sleep like he's not a talent.
Yeah.
But if he comes in, I got to believe the only reason that Penny's letting him come back, if that's true, is that he's bought into what they're trying to do because you don't need him. There's no expectations.
Here's the other part of that. Here's the other part of that, guys. That kind of wake-up call, that kind of, hey, man, look, we're better without you because you won't keep wanting to do this, right? I think that's a good thing for the kid long-term.
Yeah, here's my only counter to what you're saying is he wasn't with the team the whole time he was hurt. He was up in Michigan. And Imani's not a bad kid.
He's a great kid.
They don't have back specialists in the city of Memphis.
Yeah, I highly doubt that. But here's my thing. He wasn't with the team. Imani's thing hasn't been that he's a bad kid.
No, not at all.
Like, it hasn't been that. What's been Imani's issue is he doesn't know what to do defensively. He just doesn't know. And how do you gain that information? You can't do it by computer at Memphis. You have to be in the mix figuring it out. Like, you have to be coached up to be able to, I guess, quote unquote, buy in. I'm not sure that's the right term for this kid because, guys, he showed up so late. That summer is so crucial for freshmen.
Vital.
Huge. I mean, there's so much information. We talked about, hey, if you're going to move from NBA team to NBA team, the entire NBA uses the same vocabulary. So it's a much different situation than it would be, hey, if, like, you're coming from high school to college, that knowledge gap is massive. Especially for, what he played for, Ypsilanti Prep or something or whatever, Imani Bates Prep or his dad's prep. I'm not sure what it was.
Bates Fundamental.
That's right. Like, what are we doing
Right?
here? Like, the thing is there's such
Carter, is that right?
I don't know how that Ypsilanti?
Ypsilanti? I don't know. Ypsilanti? Is that Ypsilanti? Did I say that?
I think it's
so.
more
I
of a
said it right.
physical-
You're laughing at me anyway.
I think it's a physical thing with him too.
See, I
For-
felt
for-
some
for a
side-
guard.
I felt some side shit.
Well, you know, he's been working out, man. He's got his sexy back, man. He's back working out, Murray.
He's
Like,
working.
you know, he can
He
relate
actually
to that.
cut his sleeves before he walked in here, just so he could be ready. No, but I think it's not that he's a bad kid or that he's not wanting. I think Imani Bates wants to buy in because you see him on the bench. You see, I don't think he has the knowledge to be good yet, and I think that's a significant difference. He needs another year, guys. Like, he needs it desperately.
He needs it, and it's also he came in and he's not a point guard.
That's right.
That's the
That's the
biggest
difference
thing.
is that he's a really good player. And in high school, you put the ball in your best player's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's at college, and you play against these with the year of the super seniors and everything else. He's got all these experienced guys.
Yep.
So you're skilled. He's a talented kid, but he's also at a physical disadvantage. He has height. He has length. But these more physically stronger guys, that's the biggest adjustment that shows you that he's not ready necessarily NBA, is that physically he's not ready to go against grown men. He's really not physically ready to play against some of these older college kids, and I think that's where the expectation comes in. And then what that did to him psychologically. You go out there and watch. He's in that category with those three guys. All three of those guys we talked about, those freshmen have done what we talked about. They've shown, they've validated it. They're the top three picks. He's the one guy that struggled from the very beginning, and I think that's loss of confidence has hurt him.
This is a big thing moving forward for a lot of kids that want to come to school too early. Like, that extra year means so much.
But
It's crazy.
I'll say this. I don't like that because all that shows is that's where you were supposed to be anyway.
Right.
No one goes up and reclasses back up and graduates in 3 years.
Yep.
So where would he be if he was in this class anyway? That's
Yep.
just the thing that we talked about. You reclass back, and then all of a sudden, guys that reclass up is just going back to where they originally would belong anyway.
Yep.
Yep.
Stuff.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest thing I think that we need to say about Imani is he's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Right? He was put on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 14.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to. I want to make sure the kid gets the benefit of the doubt in the long term because I think
Right.
that does matter. All right, Greg Waddell, Sleepers Media, expert over there. I need you to give me a number between 1 and 612.
234.
234. Okay. That is bracket. That goes to O.M. Sklansk. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but I'm going to take a screenshot of it because O.M. Sklansk is the first winner of a $50 Top Golf gift card. You will be seeing a message from me eventually, Omsk, whatever that name is.
That looks like a Russian bot or something.
Yeah, I was
Like,
going to say,
like,
that looks like the kind of name that you know how to say, like some Georgian name.
That
or
one got.
something.
That one's off.
Or something. No, that's
No.
not. That's not Scandinavian. That's
Nope.
not Norwegian.
Nope.
All right,
It's
let's-
got Eastern Bloc vibes right there.
Yeah, to be eligible to win those Top Golf gift cards, go to bracketfanatics.com, go to the code field, jump in, join our bracket group. We're giving away $500. There's $300 up top, $500 free to enter. There's nothing better than free 99. All right, guys, the next game coming up, 2 o'clock tip. The first number 1 seed of the day is in action. Baylor's playing Norfolk State. I want to give a shout out to Robert Jones for Norfolk State.
Man, how good's he been?
Yeah, winning a game in a tournament. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, but I love his story. I don't know if you know this, RC. He before he became a coach, he was living in Jamaica, Queens, booking shows for 50 Cent and G Unit before they really blew up. So I love his story. I love where he is. He's a great dude. I'm happy that he got here. I don't see him beating Baylor, but I want to ask you guys this. Baylor is not going to have L.J. Cryer in the first weekend. They're not going to have Jonathan Chamwachatra, period. I would be shocked if at any point during this tournament we saw L.J. Cryer anywhere near what he was before he got hurt. So how concerned are you? RC, I'm going to you first on this one. How concerned are you about Baylor? Can they still make a run to the Final Four? I would have had them as a Final Four potential national title team if they were 100% healthy. I just can't see it right now.
I think they can get through it. The only team that would concern me this first weekend, if I'm Baylor, is Marquette. I think Marquette's the one team that matches them physicality, matches their effort that can get them. I think Norfolk State's going to be – they're going to play them tough. The best shot they have, but they're going to be overmatched. If they get Carolina, I like Baylor over Carolina. Marquette's the one team I think that can give them some trouble. But, hey, we talk about all the injuries and everything else with Baylor. They're 26-6.
Yep.
Like, they've played through it all. Just a credit. We're talking about a team that if they weren't injured, they didn't have the injuries, and L.J. Cryer wasn't out, I mean, they might be the favorite. They might have been the number one overall seed.
It's entirely possible that would have been the case. I think the fact that Adam Flagler has been in and out of the lineup is going to be another thing to watch because they found ways to win, guys.
No matter what.
Without L.J. Cryer. I mean, Adam Flagler has been terrific in some of their big wins. Is he going to be able to play consistently? Because he would come in for a game, sit out two, come in for 2 games, sit out. Like, I'm interested to see how that works moving forward. But in order for them to hit their peak, really, like, you got to have play consistently from Adam Flagler. It's still a team that can, get to the Sweet 16 Elite 8. I just don't know without all their pieces. I think Ncaa was so important to this team, guys, because he called out all their defensive coverages. He was that ultimate culture guy. I think he meant a lot more than what people realize. But at the same time, you can also look at Jeremy Sohan. You could use him much differently at the 5 position than you could use Ncaa because his offensive versatility. He can step out and shoot it. He's an excellent passer. So it opens some things up offensively, but I think defensively, it's just not the same quality of team without Ncaa and L.J. Cryer. That ball started moving again. Whenever he played, that ball started moving again like we used to see Baylor play last year. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's not moving. I don't know that it's going to be able to do that consistently. I think that's the biggest issue.
It's tough not to because you basically have one initiator now. Right. It's basically James Akinjo and everyone else. Mm-hmm. Adam Flagler, I love him. Great shooter, but he's a guy you basically want being catch, let it fly, right? Like that's what he does best.
And attacking closeouts. And they have a bunch of guys that play like that. Like Matthew Meyer has been a little bit out of his element this year because he's trying to do too much. Now he started to settle back into his role and attacking off the catch. But, like, that's what they have. They have a lot of pieces. Without L.J. Cryer in the fold, him and Akinjo's having to dribble the ball a little bit too much and create that chain of events. He's obviously going to be key for them moving forward. But without that extra guy, it makes me nervous.
I think they can get through the first weekend, though. And you're talking about now getting to the second week, they're going to need L.J. Cryer if they want to make a Final Four run, so to speak. But the first week, I think they can get to the Sweet 16 without.
I have Carolina in the second round. I mean, I think Carolina beats Marquette. They're playing much better as of late. You see the Wake Forest head nod over here.
Look at him.
Just absolutely. I mean, he's closing his eyes. That's how much his Tar Heel hatred. Look at me, camera. That's how much his Tar Heel hatred runs through. He closes his eyes when he speaks of them. This is a team that's playing well. And R.J. Davis, Caleb Love has kind of been the story. R.J. Davis has turned around the momentum. That's been the big deal for them moving forward. But R.J. Davis continues to play well. Baycott, you're going to get a 20 and 15 game out of him. Marquette's the kind of team that's bothered UNC this year because of how hard they play. They bully teams.
Right.
This is a big test for Carolina. They beat Marquette. I think they're very capable of beating Baylor in that second.
I think both Marquette and North Carolina are really difficult matchups for Baylor. Marquette specifically, because if you look at who Baylor struggled with in Big 12 play, they lost at home to Oklahoma State. They got taken to overtime by Oklahoma State the second time they played. They lost to Texas Tech. Right, and both of those teams kind of do what Marquette does. They got long, physical athletes. They're going to switch everything. They're going to get out and pressure you. And the one knock on this Baylor team, even when they were healthy, bunch of little guards. If you have big physical wings, they have little guards, and they could struggle with some of that length and athleticism. So, RC, I think you were right. I think Marquette's a difficult matchup. Why don't you like North Carolina there?
I just haven't seen it all year, and I would love to cheer from –
No, you wouldn't.
True.
Let me be clear. You're right.
Now.
Let me be clear. Because that blue on your shirt's making me itch. I'm really starting to scratch over here. Just to be clear, I'm starting to – you see me on camera doing this. It's because it's blue. I'm rubbing up against T.O. and it's blue in his shirt. No. I think there's been an overreaction to the win at Duke. I think that's a rivalry game. And had they done better in the ACC tournament, I would have thought, hey, you know what? These guys have finally figured it out. I think they're a good team. I do like R.J. Davis. I liked him during the course of the year. I think he's been so underappreciated. His elevation as a point guard to me, I actually watched it, and I'm really impressed with him. And so if he plays at a high level, then all bets are off with that. But Carolina as a team, I just didn't see it. I mean, they didn't just lose to Virginia Tech. They got their butts kicked at Virginia Tech. And Virginia Tech playing hot. But you're a team, you go when you beat Duke. We're like, hey, we've been talking all year. Like, they need a signature win. They need a big win. They're going to Cameron, but that's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
You know, that's a rivalry game. So if you're not going to get up for that, you know, you got no business going to Carolina in the first place if you're not going to be up for a rivalry game at Duke. And outside of that, everything else, all their other losses against all the other teams, we talked about Tennessee and Purdue, everyone else, it was a butt kicking.
Yep.
It wasn't even close. So why would I think now? You just don't get to the tournament and hit the switch and then start playing well against those teams, and I don't see it.
And here's to expand on that point. If you look at their losses, it's all been teams that can physically beat you up.
Yes.
And there is no fight back. You heard Capel whenever he's leaving the Dean Dome.
Yes.
He goes, we punched him in the mouth.
Yes.
And they're not gonna fight back. That's the big thing that you think. Well, they went to Cameron. They took all that emotion, they channeled it, they were able to play well, they played physical. That's the big thing going forward. If they get punched in the mouth by this Marquette team, and Shaka Smart's got those guys going. Justin Lewis got to be one of my favorite
That's the one thing that I will quibble with is that Marquette really kind of fell apart down the stretch. They lost 5 of the last 9 of the regular season. They got bounced in the first round of the Big East tournament. So to me, the biggest thing is we could go take Marquette from January, the team that won all those games against ranked teams right in a row, and plop them in the NCAA tournament right now. I'm with you guys.
We say this. So much of this is just like it's like boxing. It's a style. The style is part of the fight. My issue or my concern is just that's just the type of team that's giving Carolina trouble. And so they've struggled down the stretch, but we know they're going to compete their tail off and play hard and play physical. And that within itself has bothered Carolina all year long, where it hadn't even been close.
Pace. Pace as well. I think that's going to be a big thing. Carolina's still playing fast. They're not offensive rebounding at all this year compared to what they have in recent years, but that's going to be a massive thing. The thing is Marquette likes to get up and down a little bit too. Daryl Morcell is really, really good. So there's a lot of really good matchups there. I'm curious to see, I think Carolina is going to be able to do it.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next game of the day. We have Tennessee facing off with Longwood. Tennessee is favored by 18.5 in this game. Tennessee's been the hottest team in the country over the course of the last 6 weeks or so, guys. They won the SEC tournament. I'm going to whip out my Torvik real quick.
Bust your Torvik out.
Let's go.
They've been a top 5 team in the country as well. It's Tennessee, Iowa, and Memphis are the 3 teams that you wouldn't expect that over the course of the last 6 to 7 weeks have been the best in the country, which is why I don't understand why our producer, Greg Waddell, loves Iowa so much and is not all in on Tennessee as well. I'll never understand it, but these balls, I think the South region is the most interesting at the very top, right? I think the top 4 teams in that league can all go out and get to the Final Four. The top 4 teams in that region can all get to a Final Four. Why Tennessee, T.O.? You're an East Tennessee guy. Why Tennessee?
Well, I think if Josiah Jordan-James is able to provide something for them offensively, it completely changes the dynamic of how they can play because they can space the floor a little bit. He's that big physical guard that can score for you, and he's very switchable on defense because of his profile, his size, how strong he is. I think it's going to be interesting going forward. Longwood, great story, all that. They've got some guys that are pretty good college basketball players. I really like Justin Hill. He's a tank of a point or kind of a point guard, off guard who can score it. It's just going to be really difficult. Tennessee is so physical and so good on defense that I think it's going to be hard. And one key, if you're Longwood, what do you need to do? You need to take care of the basketball. Tennessee thrives off of live ball turnovers. Kennedy Chandler gets ahead of steam towards the basket. You can forget it. You're going to give up 5, 10, 15 points even if you don't take care of the basketball. Longwood takes care of the basketball and controls themselves on the offensive end. And, I mean, getting quality looks at it, they're going to be able to give themselves a shot. But I have this Tennessee team going far, especially if that offense keeps humming along like it did in the SEC tournament.
Isaiah Wilkins been playing well for Longwood as well. I think he was a tournament MVP for those guys.
Oh, Wake Forest guy.
Hey, man.
Very nice, sir.
Hey, he's a local kid, too.
Got to shout him out, man.
Got to give him his love. No, but again, he was a tournament MVP for those guys. He played really well, but they're overmatched. I think now with
he's
help,
perfect for the Big
South,
South, by the way. 6'4", big body, can play 3-4. That league, great player for that league.
Great decision for him. He's at a level where he can be successful instead of being at the end of a bench at a high major program. But he's played for some really good coaches. I mean, he plays for Bud Williams. He started out at Virginia Tech, so he understands it, and so it's not surprising that he went there and he shined. But I think the dual point guard with Tennessee now, with Chandler and Ziegler, those guys playing together, has just opened up on the offensive end for Tennessee. We know they're going to defend, and if James is making shots, then they're really a tough out for anybody. But that 2-point guard lineup gives everybody fits.
And here's the thing too: you can get up underneath opposing point guards and put so much pressure on the ball because you get in their legs. It makes it really, really hard, right? So we'll see how it goes going forward. Even with those small guards, that 3-4-5 position for Tennessee is huge.
Yeah, they got bodies.
Where does Kennedy Chandler rank for you guys in terms of the best point guards in the country right now? There's not a lot of great point guards in college basketball this year. It's definitely a big man's game this season. I think you got to take Colin Gillespie first.
Yes.
He's the guy I'm taking. Number one, if I need a point guard, need someone with the ball in their hands, need someone to make a big shot. Kennedy Chandler might be number 2 right now. Is that crazy?
No, not at all. But I'm going to go James Akinjo as my 1.
Yeah.
And then I'll take James Akinjo for my 1, and then I got Kennedy Chandler right there.
Is that because Kennedy doesn't talk enough shit? Is that what it is?
I only because experienced. For now, this type of year. The hardest things about these guys when their families and support now start talking about NBA.
Oh, yeah.
Like, those are the distractions that you really got to watch out for these guys. A guy like James Akinjo is like, he's a dog. It's like, look, this is what I do. I don't care. He's been around the block. He's not focused on all the other distractions. He's just focused on right now, and I think he's been the key. Those
transfers, right? They have bigger picture things to worry about than where you are on draft boards.
Right.
Yep. No, I mean, he poses at elite quickness. He's been able to knock down shots at a reasonably high rate. Is he a great shooter? No, but 37% off the dribble, most of them. I mean, that's pretty serviceable. And he's just such a competitor. That's the big thing about him is he competes. He's been very coachable for Rick Barnes, and Rick Barnes is hard on his point guards.
He is.
If you look at the past few seasons with Rick Barnes, or even his whole career for that matter, who's been his best point guards that he's had? I'm going to even go all the way back to T-Mac, Terrell McIntyre at Clemson, and then you look at T.J. Ford at Texas, DJ Augustine at Texas, and now Kennedy Chandler at Tennessee, even Jordan Bone. He found a way to get him drafted. Yeah. So, like, really fast point guards with that extra element of speed, those are the guys that can be really, really good in Rick Barnes' system. And Kennedy Chandler fits that mold. I'd say definitely a top 5 point guard in the country.
One point that I always make, and you guys have probably heard me say this over and over again, but if you look at the last 11 national champions dating all the way back to 2010, every one of them had a 2-guard, 2 lead guard system.
Were they 2 freshman lead guards?
Not 2 freshman lead
That's
guards.
That's going to be hard.
2 lead guards, except for 2012 Kentucky Wildcats, who had Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and still had a first-round pick, a freshman, Marcus T. Playing the point for him. So, I'm with you guys. I think Tennessee's a dangerous team. I have Villanova coming out of that region. No, you're shaking your head?
No, I'm not. I'm not against Villanova. They just their culture and everything else. They're there.
I said this last night.
I got Tennessee beating Villanova.
I do too. I think this is a revenge game for Tennessee, getting blown out early in the year by 18.
And I think those two styles, they match up really well. Tennessee has figured out who they are now.
Yep.
And here's the thing about Villanova. They've known who they are for, 7 years now? I mean,
longer than that.
Since Gillespie has been a freshman.
Gillespie's been there for 7 years.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he knows what he's there to do. They understand their roles right out of the gate. I think that the more improved team has been Tennessee just because of where they started from. Not necessarily saying Villanova hasn't improved, because I still think they're great. But I think the physicality matches. I think their style matches from a physicality perspective. It's just that Tennessee's a little bit bigger. And they're going to be able to take advantage of some of that size stuff on the post with Plavsic and Fulkerson. I think that would be a hard game for him. But, man, they can match up so many different ways. The only thing that you worry about, Tennessee and a Villanova team, Colin Gillespie is going to post up those little bitty guards. Mm-hmm. And that could be an issue moving forward.
Yep. That's why I like Villanova. I'm just trying to imagine Kennedy Chandler and Zakai Ziegler dealing with Colin Gillespie. Colin Gillespie goes and posts up 6'8" guys. You put big guys.
I wanted him so
right down to the basket.
I wanted him so bad at the Big East, because there was a time where he matched up Adama Sanogo, matched up with him out of nowhere, and I thought he was going to turn around and try to post him.
He did.
I thought it was going to happen. He didn't. He saw what was happening. He backed out. But he's so strong physically.
I think they're going to put Josiah James on him.
I think that's a great move.
I think you got to put Josiah James on him and put the size on him. Mm-hmm. He's the one that concerns me the most as far as the post up. The other guys can do it. Justin Moore, Slater, and those guys can do it. But Colin Gillespie concerns me more in the post. I'd put my biggest wing on him.
I love how we're talking about this game and it might not happen.
I don't. I hadn't started betting yet, but if I did, I'm betting on that matchup. These guys got to get me up to speed on the betting, but if I did, I'm pretty sure these two will meet up.
Yeah, if you need something,
I got you set. I'm gonna come to you guys.
We got a Carter Elliott 10-game parlay special over here. That dinner will be on that check if we find a way to win this. All right, let's go to Iowa Richmond. Right, the 5-12 game. That's the upsets that everybody likes, but it seems like everybody has Iowa making a run to the Final Four, making a run to the title game, picking off Kansas. Iowa. Everybody loves Iowa this year. I don't really see it, guys. They don't really guard. So, talk me into it. T.O., talk me into it. Why Iowa?
Because Keegan Murray is going to be the best player on the floor. I mean, especially tonight. If you look at their bracket moving forward, I want to say Iowa. Hold on, I'm pulling it up because this is how I operate. But Iowa, Richmond. The only problem is Richmond. That's an old team. Bunch of guys my your age, RC. Like an old team can really function. I will say this: they, in the A10, they were the 6th seed.
They were.
So I mean, they've proven they can be beaten. I mean, this isn't an unbeatable Richmond team. I know it's a trendy pick because they're old, but Keegan Murray's going to be the best player on the floor. And whenever you need a bucket, you know where you can go if you're Iowa. Jordan Bohannon's also been there since as long as Colin Gillespie's been there. I think they're the same age. But it's like it's one of those things where Keegan Murray's the best player on the floor. You know you're going to be able to rely on him moving forward. So as much as it's been a great run for Richmond, I really like this Iowa team.
I can't talk you into it because I got an upset.
Oh, really?
I do. I agree with you. I do. I think you can't argue. Keegan Murray is the best player on the floor, if not playing as well as anyone in the tournament. But they struggle to defend, and Richmond can score, and they got trouble guarding at times. They can score at all 5 positions. So if you're a team that struggles to guard, Richmond is just playing good basketball right now. That's why they're in the tournament. They flat out earned it, and they're playing well, and they're scoring the basketball. If you allow those guys, I mean, Tyler Burton is their leading scorer now, but Golden's scoring. Gilliard's feel like I feel like I played against him. He's been there so long. But I like that upset. I mean, it's always a 5-12. I think Richmond is going to give them a ton of trouble. And I feel like Iowa's – it wouldn't surprise me either way, but I just think if there's going to be an upset, I think this is one of those teams that can give them up. They better be dialed in to guard. If not, they'll go home.
They have to be because Grant Golden, if you haven't watched this young man play, the way he manages at 6'10" from the perimeter is really, really good. And he can score a little bit in the post, but he's best suited when he's out on the perimeter, kind of working these dribble handoffs, hitting backdoor cuts. Like he's a really nice player for the Spiders. It's going to be interesting to see, but Keegan Murray, because he's so good, I think they move forward.
Did you know that Grant Golden's brother plays for Butler?
I did know that.
Yeah, I did.
I did not know that until I saw him in the stands of the A10 tournament title game cheering on his brother. I was like, what's Bryce Golden doing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those two big, goofy-looking white guys with beards, probably related, huh?
They're from Pittsburgh, I believe, right?
I think their parents are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know them from both guys playing with TakeOver in the summer, so I've seen them
two very good
recruiting
players.
them. Yeah, they're really good players. They're matchup nightmares at 5s and
Yeah.
really good passers and that Princeton-style stuff and cutting off and, like you said, the dribble handoffs.
So that
This
Iowa
this could be an overplay.
Well, here that's what I'm about to say. Iowa right now, the line is Iowa -10. I like the Richmond side, but I think the over is where I want to be because
Yes.
I got stats for you guys. Are you ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
I'm not pulling out my Torvik. I'm
Damn
pulling
it.
out my Ken Palm here.
Leave your Torvik in there.
Richmond is top 10 nationally in turnover rate. Right? They don't give the ball away.
No.
Iowa is top 3 nationally in turnover rate. They don't give the ball away. These are 2 super efficient offenses, especially Iowa. We're not going to see turnovers here. We're going to see guys making shots because they're not going to get any stops. So, I think the over is the play. That's my take.
I'm learning.
I don't like a lot of overs. I think I'm on the first half unders. I know Carter Elliott. He hates me for this. He says you don't like fun. You don't root for fun. He's now ignoring me, telling that I don't exist over here. But I think I like the first half unders. But I am going to be taking that over in Iowa and Richmond. All right, let's move on to the next game. What do we got coming up after that? Georgia State and Gonzaga. We can go quick on this one.
Gonzaga next game.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say.
Sorry,
how
I'm not running the show.
How do you, Gonzaga right now, according to Bet Rivers, is the overwhelming favorite to win the title in terms of title futures. They are far and away the number 1 team on KenPom and all of the other metric sites. They were the number 1 overall seed. I think they've been number 1 in the country as a consensus since I don't even remember, like since Auburn lost earlier on this year, right? So we're looking at probably about 2 months. Are they like? Is this their tournament to lose? Are they a lock? How do you feel about them, Tio?
I don't know that I'll ever call them a lock until they actually win it. It's
Right.
kind of like that glass ceiling. Are they going to be able to bust through it or not? And here's the deal. There's so many better teams this season. I'm not saying Gonzaga is as good as they were or worse than they were last year, but what I am saying is the field is much better because of that extra year of eligibility. That's something to look at moving forward. But this Gonzaga team, they do have guys. I mean, Nimbard is one of the best point guards in the country. He's got significant size. They've shot it better than I think a lot of people realize. Rasir Bolton's shooting 46% from 3. And when you have bigs in that system like Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme, and you're able to spread it out, that's going to be something to watch out for. This Gonzaga team, as good as they have ever been, But I also think the field is better than it's been in a long time. 1 through 12 has a legitimate shot at potentially winning the national championship.
I agree.
Who wants it more than Gonzaga in that aspect? Runner-up, they've been there. They're the team that should be dialed in to say, hey, we know what it's like to get there and get the disappointment and lose. I think they have to have as much motivation as anybody. I think they have to be as motivated as anybody. And I also say they have as least amount of holes as everyone else has. So you start checking off boxes of point guard play, size, versatility. I think they fit the box in that. And we talk about one thing about these freshmen, with the Chet Holmgren. Let's be honest. Drew Timmy's been a better player all year long, and that's no disrespect to Chet.
No,
it's just Drew Timmy's an All-American himself, and so he just compliments him, and it doesn't have to put that tremendous amount of pressure on him where he has to play great for 6 games for him to get there. They have enough where they can survive an off game by one of their better players, and not everybody can do that. Like we're talking about these upsets. I don't think there's any chance Georgia can beat Gonzaga.
The only thing, Georgia State?
Georgia State.
Oh, Lord, no. That's not going to happen. But I think moving forward with this Gonzaga team, the thing that worries me more than others is the fact that they've been beaten different ways.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Like they play against Duke, they get overwhelmed physically because Mark Williams really gave Drew Timme problems.
Yes.
Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren, it's a good matchup, but physically speaking, right now, Paolo Banchero is going to have his way with them. Then they look at, you play Alabama team who controlled the tempo with their excellent guards, were flying up and down the floor, beat them. It says semi-home, it was home. They played that game in Seattle. There was a home game for Gonzaga. Alabama goes in and pulls the upset. And then St. Mary's, Drew Timme has an awful game, but I think it had a lot more to do with Tommy Kuzi controlling the paint or controlling the pace of play, because this Gonzaga team, they average 14.5 seconds per possession on offense. What does that mean? That means they are taking the ball, they are scoring and shooting as quickly as possible. If you're able to control the tempo, you can beat this Gonzaga team. So if you're faster than them, you can win. Alabama. If you're bigger than them, you can win. Duke. If you control the tempo, you can win. St. Mary's. It's 3 different ways that you were able to beat a Gonzaga team that last year I'm not sure you could have said that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that, but it also does feel like we're being a little bit nitpicky when it comes to –
Oh, no question, but we're also talking about Gonzaga being a national champion.
Yeah, well,
the margins are small.
Yeah, when you frame the question as why won't Gonzaga win the national title, I think that kind of tells you what we think about. Like everyone else that we're going to talk about on the show is like, how can they go out and win the national title? With Gonzaga, it's why won't they win the national title?
Yep.
And that's why it's proof of how they've kind of set themselves apart from everybody else in the field this year. We talked last night about it, and Mike Boynton made this point. The depth that Gonzaga has, it's not great, right? Nolan Hickman and Hunter Salas. Those guys are both top 10, top 15 prospects, 5-star kids, McDonald's All-Americans. They didn't really get all that many minutes during WCC play. They haven't really developed any kind of depth. So is that something that concerns you at all?
A little bit. It's just, have they been a team that's really struggled with that? I mean, you're looking at –
they haven't all year. They're just so talented. The league has been better. The top 4 teams, the tournament teams in that league, including Gonzaga. So the league itself, it's no longer Gonzaga winning the league and no one else in the tournament. Right. The league has improved. They were tested in closer games, and they shown that with St. Mary's beating them before they started the conference tournament. So, again, but how many teams – again, shows you how good they are. Those guys playing anywhere else, they're playing, they're starting. Mm-hmm. That's what we got to think of. To me, they just have the least amount of question marks where if we're talking about a team like a Kentucky and we're like, okay, if Big Oscar Tshiebwe's in foul trouble, what do they say? None of us are picking him.
Yep.
But when we pick Gonzaga, we can say, all right, Drew Timme can be in foul trouble. We know Chet's there. If Chet's in foul trouble, Drew Timme, we know they have enough depth and versatility to just go along and say, all right, they can have an off night and get through it. And I don't know if we can say that with every team.
Well, they have 6 strong. It's just a matter of do you go in there with Hickman and Salas. And you're not going to need them for that much time. I mean, you're looking at max 10 to 15 minutes, and that's what you're looking at. If you have 6 guys that understand how you play your system defensively, you crawl into guys. And Chet Holmgren makes things so much easier on the defensive end, too, because he's such a good help side shot blocker.
That's my thing about them this year is I have very real questions about what Chet's going to be at the next level. We're not at the next level. We're at this level. And what he is he is one of the best defensive anchors that you're going to find, right? He is a guy that allows –
In space.
He's a guy that allows the perimeter players to get out and be a little bit more aggressive. When you're a little bit more aggressive on the perimeter, it kind of takes away your ability to get the ball into the post, where I think that Drew Timme can kind of be beat up a little bit, right? Like the big question I have is with all these big physical centers around the country, right? You have Drew Timme, who, like, let's call it what it is, not a great defender.
Yep.
And you have Chet Holmgren, who, let's call it what it is, weighs 175 pounds and can be bodied in the post. But if you get out and you pressure those guys, it makes it that much more difficult to throw that entry pass and to get the ball to the big fellas in the place where they can be effective. So
Second round game. Could be Memphis. Could be Jalen Duren. He is a freshman, but you want to talk about big and physical?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he fits that bill, RC. Like, he as big and physical as you're going to find. Now, he is a freshman. Drew Timme might pump fake him to death and end up in foul trouble in the first 30 seconds. Like, that is a possibility. But even if you look down the line, UConn's in that bracket. If they're able to beat New Mexico State and move to the Sweet 16, like Adama Sanogo. If
Big
Arkansas, if they're able to get past UConn.
I don't know if you guys can see this on the show, by the way, but our producer Dagan gave me a nice maroon cord here to celebrate New Mexico State. So that's always much appreciated.
Yeah. No, but I mean, there's a lot of big physical fives in that region. So, I mean, you look at it moving forward, Gonzaga's going to be tested. Now, should they win? They absolutely should. But there's going to be a lot of fives that could test them.
I think physically they can test them, but I don't know. If you took one of the bigs out of the Big Ten, if they had to play one of those guys that you could just pound the ball into, that they look to score from those guys, I'd be more concerned. Just the big physicality of it doesn't concern me because of what they have around them.
Yep.
That would be and in looking at their bracket, I don't know if they face that type of big that they play like Kofi, like, Davis Jackson, or one of those guys out of the Big Ten that they play through that's nearly 20 a game. I don't see that on their side of the bracket. They wouldn't see that again, even if they made it to Duke in the Elite Eight. Still, Mark Williams isn't that option to throw the ball into the post. So they're defensive guys that give them trouble, but I don't think there's a guy offensively that they're going to pound it to that Timmy's got to worry about.
I don't think Timmy's the big – like, defensively, we know what he is. I'm more worried about him having to be really good offensively in order for them to win. Like, if you look at for their loss against St. Mary's, I want to say he went 0 for 12.
Yeah.
Like, it was an all-timer. Like,
Chet and Timmy combined were 5 for 16 from 2-point range in that game.
And that can't happen.
That
and
happen.
Yeah, and Drew Timmy's got to be great. I mean, Drew Timme himself, 2 of 10 that game. 2 of 10. Like, offensively, you need him to be that anchor.
Yes.
Defensively, they're going to be able to swarm, and you have that backup behind him. I'm not necessarily so worried because Chet Holmgren's going to be able to swat everything. But it's just a matter of offensively, you need Timme to be good because, one, of that lack of depth, and two, if he's not good and you can guard Timme one-on-one, how does that open up the perimeter? That's my big thing with Drew Timme. He has to be good for you to win the national championship.
Agreed. All right, so we got about 7 more minutes here before we're going to wrap it up for this pregame show. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. We have number 1 seed Baylor playing today. We have number 1 seed Gonzaga playing today. We have number 3 seed Tennessee playing today in the early sessions. Which of those top seeds do you think are the most likely to get picked off before the first weekend is over? It's Baylor, right? Is that the top seed that you're the most worried about? In terms
because of injury concerns.
Because of injuries, yeah.
That's
and
absolutely
Cryer
right.
not being back.
Yeah, not necessarily today. Which, I mean, you want to talk about an upset for the day, for the all-time upset. I don't think it's going to happen. But injuries have been such an issue. That 8-9 matchup in that bracket is going to be tough either way.
So to be clear for you guys that didn't hear it, T.O. just predicted that Norfolk State, Robert Jones, the Spartans are going to pull off the upset. He said they're going to beat Baylor. He said it's going to be by 20 points. He said
See how politics works? You all see how politics works? This is unbelievable.
He said, and I quote, it's going to be UMBC Part 2.
Didn't say that. What you got, Baylor?
I got Baylor.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be. I think that that's the only team with the question marks. Everyone else just have to fall flat on their face and just play an absolute horrific game. And I don't see anybody, that could give. Wright State. I don't see Wright State giving Arizona that much trouble.
All right, Chad, if you have any questions, jump in. Feel free to fire away. We got about 6 more minutes here before we're going to be signing off. All right, so I'm locking you guys in. I need your Final Four picks, and I need your national champion right now. While you look at it, while you bring up your bracket, T.O.,
I'm ready.
I'm going to tell you mine. I have Gonzaga beating Texas Tech in the Elite Eight in the West. I have Texas Tech knocking off Duke. I just think that they're too tough, too physical.
I like that.
Yeah, I love Texas Tech over Duke. I have Kentucky beating UCLA in the Elite Eight. Because I have UCLA getting past Indiana and then getting past North Carolina to get to the Elite Eight. And I have Kentucky beating UCLA. How about that?
Hey, I have UCLA winning in the first round, but Akron could give them problems.
Yeah, there's always one upset that happens that everybody writes off. I haven't heard a single person say Akron except producer Dagan Hughes.
I'm telling you, Akron, the Zips, baby. Was it Grossi?
I can't say.
Yeah, you've tried to pronounce this.
I tried to pronounce it 4 times. Is it Grossi?
Is it gross? Is it
Gross or Grossi?
I think
gross.
Is it gross?
This is what we need. This is why we have Sleepers Media here for things like this, and they're over there not paying any attention to us right now.
No, but that's a game.
He was at Illinois before.
He
right?
was at Illinois before.
Yeah.
I mean, he's brought 3 different teams to the NCAA tournament. Don't ask me who the one before Illinois was, but he certainly did.
Ohio? Was it Ohio?
I thought it was.
It might have been Ohio, but he can really coach, and they have a physical brand of basketball.
Wasn't that when they had
How do you pronounce
DJ?
it?
Yeah, DB Cooper.
How do you pronounce
Searching
it?
for DB Cooper.
How do you pronounce Gross?
I think it's gross.
Yeah.
John Gross.
Yeah.
John Gross. All right. In the Midwest, I have Kansas beating Auburn. I have Kansas taking down Greg Waddell's Iowa Hawkeyes, and I have Auburn getting past Wisconsin. I know that T.O.'s got some crazy picks in the Midwest region. We'll get to that in 1 second. And in the South, I have
Not that crazy.
I have Arizona getting past Villanova. I have Villanova beating Auburn, and I have Kentucky beating Gonzaga, and then Kentucky winning a Battle of the Wildcats in the national title game. John Calipari cutting down the nets in Coach K's final season. Can't put a bow on it much better than that.
Poetic.
Poetic.
Wax
T.O.
poetic out
T.O.,
here.
let's go. I can't wait to start in the West. I can't wait till you get to the
West
the
or Midwest? Okay, I'll start in the West. So I actually have Arkansas upsetting Gonzaga in the Sweet 16 round, and then Arkansas, Texas Tech in the Elite Eight because I like to party. So I'm going Texas Tech advancing to the Final Four. I'm going to have 50,000 Lubbock fans coming over on horseback to New Orleans, which is going to be even cooler. And then in the East, I got North Carolina and Kentucky playing in the Elite Eight, much to RC's disappointment. And then I'm going Kentucky to make it to the Final Four out of that bracket. And I got an interesting one for you. In the Midwest, the Canes, they've got guard play. They've got people who can pull you out at the 5 position with Sam Wardenberg. They run a lot of good offense. Jim Larrañaga's done it before with George Mason. He is a great basketball coach, and he's got guards that can make it happen by themselves. They don't rely on ball movement to score. If their guards play well, they can make it to the Elite Eight.
You heard it. You heard it right here, folks. Terrence Oglesby just said since Jim Larrañaga took a mid-major and George Mason to the Final Four, he can take another mid-major
to the Elite
Miami
Eight.
To the Elite Eight.
To the Elite Eight to play Kansas, guard play. Me and my man Archie Miller, who's declared he's going to be a Field of 68 lifer, is going to be Miami with the Elite Eight playing Kansas. Kansas advancing, playing against Tennessee. Tennessee's going to upset Villanova in the Sweet 16. Then they're going to beat Arizona in a rematch just to prove that they were right the first time, no matter what the refs decided was going to happen. So I have Tennessee, Kansas, Texas Tech, Kentucky. Give me Kentucky and Kansas in the finals. I like the Wildcats.
I'm going to be Big Brother Sean and tell you, you're crazy.
I'm
It's like Big Brother told his little brother, you're crazy. Miami will make it to the round of 32 and they'll lose to Auburn. So that's who I have going. Who will eventually go on to the Elite Eight and lose to Kansas. I got Kansas going to the Final Four out of the Midwest. The only team that I'm struggling with is out of the West. That Duke-Texas Tech game, the ACC in me wants to say Duke, but Texas Tech concerns me, that matchup. But I still got the Zags coming out of the West. I got Kentucky coming out of the East. I think they'll get UCLA to get to the Final Four and Arizona. And I don't know, guys. Can you tell me is Crease going to be healthy?
That ankle was looking atrocious.
Like that concerns me.
Do not trust that ankle.
Because that's
Do
you're
not
talking
trust
about
that
how
ankle.
is it? It is a high ankle sprain. Like we've seen football guys just going to our the injury reserve list for the year with that. So how quickly would that heal up?
They
Right?
asked him
I will
how-
tell
they
you this
asked him
about
how
Kirk.
he was feeling. They asked him how he was feeling. He said, never better. I was like, I promise that man has felt better.
He's playing. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to play. If he had to go out there in a boot, I guarantee that Kirk Crease is the kind of guy that will go out there and play in a boot.
And I guarantee you that
He's wired
Nike,
a different
that
kind of way.
Nike would
I
sponsor
don't know how
the
good
boot.
he's going to end up being. That's the big thing.
That's the
I don't know
thing.
how good he's gonna
If he's
end
not himself, then that's a big. Now I think Arizona's vulnerable to get to the Final Four, and we won't know that until we actually watch them play.
Yeah.
Right. Until they get challenged.
The only thing I will say is that he's got the first weekend where they don't
need him.
They don't really need him.
Don't need him.
They're not going to need him in the first round game, and they probably won't need him. Sorry, Greg, against Seton Hall and TCU. We got a Seton Hall alum over here. We got two guys that picked Seton Hall to the Final Four. They're not going to need him. TCU's going to knock him off in the first round anyway. We'll get get to that. Get to that tomorrow. All right, we do have a couple questions that came in on the chat. First and foremost, craps or blackjack?
Craps.
Depends on how much money I'm willing to risk. If I have more money, I go craps. If I'm trying to play these $15, $20 hands, I'll go blackjack because I'm trying to pace myself. It also depends on how fired up I am.
You talked me out of it yesterday.
First day of the NCAA tournament is that's not
the kind of fired up I'm talking about right now. It's a different level.
He backed out on me yesterday. Okay. He calmed it down yesterday. He wanted to go back. We just took a walk through and went back to the hotel.
Carter, we need 7 Guinnesses. We need 3 bottles of Irish whiskey.
I know me.
We got to get T.O. going over here. We got to get him fired up.
I know me.
All right, I need. This is from Kent Rock. I hope I got that right. We need your Cinderella teams. Give me a double-digit seed that you think is the most likely to get to the Sweet 16.
I just said Miami as a 10
seed.
seed.
Give me a mid-major. Give me a mid-major.
All right, go ahead. You go ahead, RC. I got to pull up my bracket.
I say Richmond.
Richmond. Huh?
No. I'll take that back. I'm gonna go Davidson.
Davidson. Okay. Davidson over Duke.
Yes.
I picked that too.
Yeah. I can see that.
I picked that too, just because I did my bracket on 30 minutes of sleep. So I mean, it is what it is. I like Davidson over Duke because they play exactly like Virginia Tech does. You're welcome, world. Go ahead and put a 32-game parlay down. We're ready. Outside of that, I think UT Chattanooga is good.
That was going to be mine.
Yeah, I stole.
Both of you guys called the SoCon games.
Yeah.
This year. So tell me why Chattanooga is so good.
I'll let you go, and then I'll just tell you why you're
Their
wrong.
size blew me away. I thought I've seen them defensively. I thought they were as impressive defensively. The only thing that concerns me about them is just scoring. But the way they guard, they have size to guard high major bigs.
Yep.
You know, with Silva de Sosa there, I mean, he's going to be able to match up physically, and they got bigs, Avery Diggs behind them, and Ayeni. They got size to match up. Their shooting from the perimeter concerns me.
Yep.
I think, but defensively, they guard. I mean, one-on-one, they guard just as well as anybody you'll see in this tournament. And they'll give – I think Illinois, that matchup, they could upset Illinois.
And they literally have 15 fouls to throw at Coburn.
Easily 15.
Like, Diggs is 6'10", 240. I mean, and every bit of it. And I realize Kofi Coburn is Thanos of college basketball. The dude's huge. But the thing is you throw 15 fouls, he's going to get irritated and throw a bow or two. And, like, I'm not saying, like, he's going to do it in a dirty way, but he's going to be able to fight. He might get in foul trouble himself. This UT Chattanooga, it's not only Malachi Smith, who averages 20 points a game with SoCon Player of the Year. It's not only David Jean-Baptiste, who hit a 40-footer to put them in the tournament. It's Silvio de Sosa. It's Avery Diggs. I think Darius Banks is a key for them. If he's able to hit shots from the perimeter, he's a 1,000-point scorer at James Madison at his prior stop. Lamont Paris has put together a really good team. UT Chattanooga could win 2 games in this tournament. I think whenever they get to Arizona in the Sweet 16, it could be tough, obviously, because defensively, that's where there's levels to this. You get to that defensive
I think
levels.
that region right there, that pairing, UAB over Houston and Chattanooga over Illinois, are two pretty likely upsets. I like Houston there just because I think they're too tough, too physical. There's a next man up attitude in that program. But look, Jelly Walker's story, he was on
with Fanta.
He was on with Fanta. He was on After Dark. I'm rooting for that kid, so I want to see UAB pull off that upset. The other one that I'll give you.
And they got Trey Jemison, too, for former Clemson guy.
Oh.
It's a big part.
The other one I'll give you guys. You ready for this? Virginia Tech, Sweet 16. Mike Young gets it done. I think they match up really well with Texas. I'm not a believer in Texas. And I think that Purdue – I've been saying it all year, so I got to ride with it. Purdue out in the second round. Purdue's going down. They don't guard well enough. I think you look at the way that Kevy Aluma can pull people away from the perimeter. You don't like it, RC?
No, I'm with you.
You with me?
I got him.
You gave me that look that was like –
yeah, because I was looking
he
at
gave you the
CEO.
little brother.
We had no. I got him because I was we had Chris Beard on, and he was just so fun to talk to the other night. And I mean, he's great, and he made me want to switch my pick. But I just think Virginia Tech's playing too well right now, and I think they're a tough matchup with the versatility of their bigs.
Chris Beard doesn't even like his team. Why are we gonna like his team? Chris Beard doesn't like his team.
Did Chris Beard say that?
More or less.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
I just don't like these people.
He said it in a much nicer way.
No, the thing about that is Storm Murphy's figured it out. He struggled adjusting at the beginning, and now Mike Young has done some things that make it easier on him moving forward. This Virginia Tech team, he gets rid of it, and then he gets it closer to the free throw line. So they'll run some false action for him to get it at the top of the key, closer to the rim, and then he does a much better job. This Virginia Tech team is playing so well right now. Purdue, they could give them some issues, but Purdue gives people issues of their own on the offensive end as well.
So, RC, there's people in the chat that are upset that you are calling them Illinois instead of Illinois.
Illinois, I apologize.
And here's what our guy Carter Elliott just said. I just call them the team that hasn't been to the Sweet 16 since people used iPod Nanos. Oh man, that's the Big Ten slander if I've ever seen it. Well, listen, we're gonna wrap up the show here. We got to go get all set up here. We're at the Rivers Casino in Philadelphia. We have a sports book here. They have 4 TVs that are absolutely massive, enormous. It's
Come
like a
hang out with us.
jumbotron. It's like the jumbotron at the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. It is huge. That's where we're going to be watching games. You can see those comfortable leather seats in the background over there. We got drinks. We got food. That's where we're hanging out. That's where we're making our bets. That's where I am going to get rich, guys. We're taking down the casino today, fellas. We are taking it down. Listen, we'll be back again at about 5:45 near the end of the first round of games today. We're going to jump back on, talk about what we saw, preview the night games a little bit, and then we're going to be on Sirius XM again at midnight for After Dark, a real After Dark. So for Randolph Childress, for Terrence Oglesby, for our production crew, Carter Elliott, Greg Whiteout, Dagan Hughes, my name is Rob Dauster. We'll see you guys again in about 5 hours. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy first